Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. This is season 23, episode 21. I am Yael Tygiel. I am joined by Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello.
Hi. I cannot wait to talk about this again. Season 23, episode 21. Confess your sins to be free. That is the name of this episode. We will talk all about that very shortly. For those who are new, welcome to our show. Before we get into anything, I want to make sure you have a number if you need it. That is the RAINN Hotline. That number is 1-800-656-4673. Again, RAINN Hotline, 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, tell us about this number.
So it spells hope, you guys. I'm so glad that I could say that this week. It spells hope, everyone.
It does spell hope. So please reach out to RAINN if you need them. Consider that our gift to you, because now this is your content warning. We understand that a lot of the issues brought up in today's episode are very serious issues, specifically issues dealing with abuses in the church and addiction and other issues. And so consider this your content warning, because although those are real life, very serious things, we are going to say some shit specifically about what was portrayed on this television series. I want that on the record.
Yes.
This is a TV show. We are talking strictly about what happened on the show.
Yes.
Okay, great. So excited. We have our chat is full of people chatting. Hello, welcome. Before we jump into our thoughts on the episode, I want to give some shout outs. I see Allie is here, Jennifer, Aaliyah, Zach, welcome. I see there are all sorts of other people here as well who hopefully will be chatting with us in the live chat. If you're here, that's what we love to do. Here's the quick cap for the episode. When the only evidence in a crime is a church confession, Carisi must find another way to prove his suspect guilty. Benson agrees to meet with an old friend seeking to make amends for his past transgressions. Taylor, what did you think of this episode?
Didn't hit for me. I'm going to be so honest with you. I will say, I went to Catholic school, so I always found it very interesting, this idea of like, you confessing to a priest and the priest is not allowed to tell anyone. And I always had this thought, I was like, but what if they confess something like really bad that's like illegal? And so I thought I did enjoy seeing that part, because it was a question I always had growing up. I was like, what happens if, they're doing something terrible like this? And so I thought it was cool how they kind of got around that. So I liked that. I thought that storyline was pretty interesting. I wish we would have delved into it more. I wish there was more twists and turns too, because I feel like the actual Audrey part, I was like, okay, like this is crazy. We're treating it like it's not. Like she just can't stop cheating on her husband. Like what? Okay. And then Burton was there.
Your thoughts on this hurt me so much. Everyone, I need to tell you something. This storyline of a priest confessing to another priest to hide their discretion, season 3, episode 23, silence. Season 14, episode 10, presumed guilty. Literally, the third one, and those are the ones I could just think of off the top of my head. As soon as it happened, I went, it's gonna be literally the priest is covering for the other priest, because we've already established that this is a thing that we do. I hated it. I found it so, we've already done it. And the twist of it being a priest covering for other priests, not a twist. Again, those are literally the 2 episodes that came to mind while watching. I'm sure if I actually thought about it, there are others that have the same story. That said, I think that Carisi struggling with his feelings is very similar to how Stabler used to deal with this shit. But I think that also that could have been the B story, because the Burton crap, I hate him, but at least his was a twist. And we will talk about Burton later in the episode. Let's stick to the story of the church. Yes,
I do disagree. I know we've done it before. I know we've done similar stuff. I just do think it is a very interesting question. I think it's because I grew up in the Catholic Church. So it's like, whenever we deal with something that like I used to think, like, even if we've done it before, I think that's like a crazy struggle to have if you were a priest. Like, obviously it's more complicated because they're both priests and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I think that's interesting. I agree. I get we've explored it, but I really like the moral question of that.
I love a moral question. I think that's what's interesting to me is the Carisi part of it was interesting, but the priest stuff, we guys, we already fucking did it multiple times. Yeah. And I agree with you that the woman and her inability to be faithful, I think would have been so much more interesting if we had then been like, hey, you know what? I think she's polyamorous and needs to get into that sort of relationship. And how does that work within the Catholic Church? That'd be fascinating.
Right. We just didn't address it too. We're like, yeah, no, like she's not like, what? I don't back up. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think the most interesting part to me of that entire storyline, aside from my favorite line, which I will hold on to for later, is Carisi asking, at what point do your vows become more important than your fellow human beings? Because that is the interesting part of the episode. And I almost wish, again, that this would have been the B storyline, which would have allowed it to just focus more on Carisi and less on the actual whodunit. Because we knew who did it and who cares.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think that's really interesting. And like the fact that he made an oath, I did like that we had that line about like he made an oath to like protect and serve the community, essentially. And this guy made an oath to like the priesthood. And so I think that was cool too, to see that juxtaposed of like, we both made our oaths, but they're in conflict with each other. And I think that's a cool concept.
I totally agree. I want to give some shout outs to our actors, as we like to do on this show. So Audrey, girl needs it, and so she's getting it, and I'm happy for her.
Audrey,
the actress is Kristen Connolly. Father Ryan Duffy was Patch Derek. I don't know how to say that last name, guys. Father Regis was Kelly O'Coin. God, what are these names? These seem like Irish names. I don't know how to say them.
Are they both repeat offenders? I feel like I've seen them before, but maybe I haven't on this show.
Let's check. I'm pretty sure that Duffy was. I'm almost positive. I'm going to tell you right here and now. Father Regis was not. He does look like somebody else, who I thought he was until upon rewatch I realized he wasn't. And yes, Father Duffy was Ron Duca in Real Fake News. That makes sense. He was, yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. And then if you didn't notice, Detective Ruse was our undercover. It was so great to see her again. It's nice to see the different people that we have met in the hate crimes unit. It makes me wonder if that means that the hate crimes spinoff that we have been promised for years is coming. I'm going to just say, we know during the news segment, I was going to tell you today that we know for a fact Warren Leight is leaving the show at the end of the season. Would be interesting if where he is going is to the hate crimes unit. That's with true. Donna Logue.
He was originally going to showrun that one. So I don't know. We have organized crime now. We have the mothership back. Who's to say we don't just slip in another one?
Right. I mean, I think Dick Wolf could use the money, right? He's struggling.
He's struggling. Yeah, he's really having a hard time right now.
Owning 2 nights on NBC and 1 night on CBS.
Can't buy groceries.
I know. Struggling. Poor guy. Oh man. Who else did I want to give some shout outs to? I think that's it. Those were some amazing performances in this episode. I want to talk about, I'm looking at my notes for this storyline. It's real short. The way that Regis confessed and then the reveal of his father murdering his mother when he was 9. I was like, let's talk about that story. That's so much more interesting than any of this.
It's a lot.
And it reminds me of how in classic episodes, you would get this like story of why especially when Wong was there, we'd find out that like something happened when they were little and that's why they assault the specific people they do. And so to hear that Regis was raping Catholic women who cheated because his father murdered his mother for cheating. Let's talk about that. There's so much that could have been the story, and I'm so sad that it wasn't.
Now I just miss Mom.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
Rip.
There was also a really small little throwaway conversation about a Releasy wedding. Did you catch that?
No. I'm gonna be so honest. I'm like, was I?
Yeah, so literally when he walked into the church, or in the beginning when Carisi happened to stumble upon going into church, they asked something about proposing, and he was like, no, like it's too early.
Oh.
And I'm like, why is this conversation happening?
I don't know, man. I guess we'll find out, hopefully.
Ma'am, next week is the finale. I don't think we're going to find out.
Season, but...
Yeah, but next season's going to be a new showrunner, and you know that they don't watch previous seasons.
If they hired me for showrunner, I would.
I know. I know you would. We know.
All
right, before we move on to the next storyline, I want to give more shout outs because more people are here. Holly joined us, and Daryl stopped by for a quick visit, he says, or a brief visit. Thank you guys for joining us in our live chat. Holly says if you're going to recycle stories, you have to add a twist that sets it apart from the previous episode of the same story. Thank you, Holly. Thank you.
And why are we not recycling Babes? I guess that's my question.
How would you add a twist to Babes? Were we to recycle it?
I mean, I'm sure there are ways. This is the thing. And I would like to see it. I mean, listen,
I got the twist.
Fog is coming. And so I feel like with the new technology, we could really spice it up. It's like if they're on TikTok or something, you know? I'm just saying.
We'll bring back Babes. They're all pregnant with the same father.
Yes, exactly.
Twist.
A twist, exactly. Fog's coming.
I love that. Oh, Allie liked this episode. Interesting. Wow.
Okay.
I'm not judging. And Jennifer says, yeah, I like a polyamorous focused storyline, not with all this other stuff. I agree. I think that there could have been so much more.
Last week was so good that I was like burning through it. Like I was so focused. And this one, like I paused, I got a snack, I paused, I got a drink, like I paused, I went to the bathroom. Like I was just not invested. Like
I genuinely almost didn't watch it a second time for today's episode because I was like, nah, I know the storyline. I literally saw it multiple episodes.
Yeah.
But I did rewatch it because I like to be prepared for you all. Okay. All right, let's talk about the other storyline. Unless there was more you wanted to say about the church and crap.
No, I'm all right. We'll get to that when we get to lines.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because I have more to say, but it's based on lines. All right. Let's talk about this Burton amends tour.
Okay.
Here's what I thought. The first scene where he's when he's having his conversation with Benson, I knew there was 50-50 chance, and I felt like it was more likely that she would have responded. I wrote in my notes that she'd cave, but that she would have responded more compassionately to him. Because her mother was an addict and because she is compassionate. And so the fact that she stayed strong and was not accepting this apology and was saying, when she said, you're sorry for abusing women, for using women, for hiding behind alcohol as an excuse, and then telling him to make amends to the other women, I was really, really impressed. Because that was the Benson that I love. And so I guess because my personal opinion was my expectations were set so low, this scene was great for me.
And
What
then
did
we got
you
into the second half of the episode.
What?
And then we got into the second half of the episode.
Look, when this woman shows up and explains what happened and that she taped it, I was like, this is the twist. This is the episode I want to watch. Why is this the B storyline?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't care to see this guy the first time he was here. I definitely don't care the second time. Sorry, but there's just nothing about, like, it was so unnecessary to me to have him on here in the first place. The fact we're seeing him again, like, I didn't feel like we needed closure with this guy, and I feel like we painted him in some weird light. We painted Olivia in some weird light where she's like giving him a heads up. Like, what, are you guys besties? I don't understand. And then we're supposed to like applaud him, I feel like, for like taking responsibility. Yeah, no kidding, that's the bare minimum. Like, that's the bare minimum. I didn't like it. I didn't like how they handled it. I didn't like that it existed in the first place.
I agree with you. I did not need to see him again. I was not looking forward to his return. The twist of him raping that woman, that was where I got interested. But as Dimitri, who's joining our chat today, made it to the live stream, says, Olivia would never alert a rapist about a victim. So far away from her character that I was like, did I just watch this? Yeah, I think that was very odd. And I totally agree. But again, when I compare this to the priests, this was so much more interesting.
I don't know that I agree with that because it just turned me off. It was just like he said, like, it just didn't feel like it was in character for her to warn him. I didn't like that. It seemed like she was coddling him. And I was like, this guy literally raped some person 6 months ago. Like, not only did he do that to you and was like grooming you, but he like literally raped someone when she was too drunk to consent. And then at the end there, you're like, oh yeah, you're like taking responsibility. I owe it to him to forgive. Take it one step at a time. What? Like, I don't know. That's just not what the show was about, or what should be about, I don't think. It just felt really, it turned me off. It turned me off.
Holly says that first scene was what I wanted to see from Benson. And then Aaliyah says they could have spent more time on it if they wanted to flush out this storyline. I agree. I think that when Benson goes to him and is like, you know, he's like, I asked her how I could make this better. And she said she didn't know. And Benson goes, she knows. She wants you to go to prison. And then he like makes a deal and goes on the registry, but doesn't go to prison. I was like, she wanted justice. Go accept your fate and go to prison. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I expected him to be put away and that be the end of the story.
That's the thing. It felt very strange to have it be like, okay, so we got justice or whatever, like if that's what you're going to call it, and then have that like scene with the two of them at the end. Like, I don't feel like we need her comforting him or telling him he did the right. Like, he did a messed up thing. He did multiple messed up things. I get like he was an alcoholic, but guess what? Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, doesn't excuse anything. So like, yeah, here's the thing. Like, part of me is like, maybe they shouldn't have spent a whole episode on this and fleshed it out. But I'm also glad they didn't, because I didn't want to see it. So I didn't want to see this little part that we had.
But I think I agree, because I also, like, again, when this was announced that he was coming back, I was like, who gives a fuck? This character was dumb, and I don't like that they brought him back to begin with, especially because the way that the story, we talked about it when this episode aired, and I still, wonder about the way that the story was presented to us in season 1 of SVU, where Benson talks about when she was a teenager and she fell in love with this guy who was an adult, and that she was in love, and then to see him again and realize that he had a pattern of grooming, it changed everything. And now to see that not only did he have a pattern of grooming, but he's an alcoholic, and he raped this woman, and he has a history of abusing women, And he acknowledges that there was a power and age difference between them. I was like, you took this story that could have been just an innocent, coming of age story and turned it into something fucking awful.
Yeah, it just feels like such a strange choice. Like, I don't know one person who asked for this. Like, I just don't understand, like, why we wanted to have like a redemption arc for this guy. Like, and I'm not saying that people can't, be forgiven or be redeemed, but like this particular character to focus that storyline on, it feels really odd because it's not like he has like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we've done that before, but like with people who are more interesting to like ask that question to. Like, this guy could have been one and done. Here's the thing, I don't remember the episode he came back that well because I didn't like it. I didn't like the storyline. And now seeing it again, it just feels very odd. Like she's showing up to his like whole Alcoholic Anonymous. I don't exactly know what that is called, but it's just like, it's weird. Like, you have a child, like you have better things to be doing than that. Like, you barely know this guy anymore. Go take care of Noah. I don't know. Like, it just felt so like unnecessary is all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Holly points out, great point, Holly. I'm confused a lot about the writing choices. I mean, it should have been about Benson's closure and the closure of his other victims, but it became more about him and his absolution.
Yes.
Really good point.
I think that's a really good point. It's all about how it was framed, and it wasn't framed for them at all. It was framed for him. And like, I don't care. I don't care if he feels good about himself after this. Like, I care about Olivia, and I care about Beverly, who we didn't even talk to again after that one. Like, what? Why bring that in? That doesn't make any sense to me. It felt like we got the wrong kind of closure because we got it for him, and that is not what the show's supposed to be about, in my opinion. Or like, I feel like that's the unspoken promise we've kind of been made. It's like about survivors, and this was not at all for them.
I totally agree. And I think, again, had the episode been flipped where it was the major storyline, we would have probably gotten the resolution for the survivors and seen how they are and what they wanted. I will also say, if you like Aiden, or if you want to like Aiden Quinn, first of all, practical magic. And second of all, the episode Savant. That is a fantastic episode that he happens to be in as well.
I agree. And like, I want to like obviously specify, and I don't think anyone would assume this, but like, this is not a knock on the actor at all. This is absolutely a knock on like, why did we need it? We didn't. And yet we got it. Like,
that's why I'm saying, if you would like to see him in a great role where you will love him, the episode Savant and Practical Magic.
Yeah. It's not the vibes. It's not the vibes.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to best lines, because I know that'll continue our discussion about the first half.
Yeah.
All right. Shall I begin? Because I'm sure you have more than me.
Yep.
Okay. This was the line that I had to pause and confirm I heard it correctly. When the victim was raped and she is asked, are you sure it wasn't Vince, her lover? And she said, I don't think so. It felt different. Vince is well endowed. To clarify, she is telling us that Father Regis has a small penis. So good. And then Velasco asked, we don't really think it was a priest, do we? And I shouted at my TV, Velasco, have you watched the news ever?
I was like, read a book. Like, yeah, I do think it could have been. Do you know anything about what's happened in the Catholic Church the past couple decades, sir? I mean, more than a couple decades, but like, it's been very in the news the last couple decades.
Velasco,
babe,
where have you been?
Yeah.
I also, the fact that like it took our detectives so long to put together that it was the priests, I was like, but you all have dealt with priests, many
a time.
And then I have from the other storyline, I have you threw a glass of me at the door.
Right. Oh, okay. Thank God.
Thank you for that clarification. You didn't throw it at me. You threw it at the door as I left.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right, those are my lines. Take it away, Taylor.
He asked for Liz's forgiveness. Why? So we can write another book about it. I said, that's a great point. Seems a little fishy. I'm not a perfect Catholic. Yeah, no, you're not. Clearly. And I kind of love that for you. You're messy and I respect it. Might be a wise guy offering up Audrey as some kind of payment. What a weird thing to jump to. That was such an odd. Like, how did you get from point A to point like X? Like, that was just a lot.
Yeah, especially because again, like, you never thought it was a priest, but you jumped to that?
Yeah, but you thought it was him trying to pay off a debt? Like, I do not get why you thought that, but okay. Who the hell are you, pal? I just love the way that, who the hell are you, pal? I'm gonna start saying that. I asked for the strength to stop cheating on my husband. I'm sorry, but just the way that that was presented was just so funny to me. Like, she was literally trying so hard to stop cheating, but she literally couldn't. I just think that's really funny. This maybe is my favorite. This may be a long shot, but maybe we try and catfish the priest. Love it.
Yeah.
I made the same confession twice. Now what? We wait for the sinner. I love it when they use the little puns in there. Sorry, I have to go. My squad just arrested a man for rape. Just the way that that was delivered. Sorry, I gotta go. Like, more important things happening. You're swimming in some dangerous, unholy waters right now.
Yes.
Why'd you break into the gallery, Father? You an art thief? This one I actually did like. They're letting them choke you, or you're letting them choke you with your own collar. I was like, yeah, that was a good line.
It's that one and the Unholy Waters one that I was like, these are good. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, the collar. I was like, ooh, that's good right there. And then finally, just like, I love how he confessed so vividly when he was like at the, like, who would go into that much detail? I don't know.
His mom wants to know.
Yes. If he wanted me punished for raping Audrey and the others, he would have done it already. What? That whole scene was wild. Okay. But I did like how he was like, I thought that part was pretty funny. He's not the only, like, this priest is not the only person this guy talks to. He also talks to this person. Okay, let's talk to her. Well, she's dead, so we're gonna have to go to the cemetery. Okay. You guys are just making stuff up now. That's fine.
And then all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, his mother was murdered by his father because she cheated. Like, guys, way to throw all this in at the end.
I'm sorry, but just the whole confession at the grave, like, it just, come on.
Yeah.
You're in a cemetery, sir. Be respectful. Like,
those are our favorite lines from the episode. Yep. All right. Let's talk about some show news because I already announced it earlier. Current showrunner Warren Light is leaving at the end of this season, which is next episode. Our next episode is the finale. And as we confirmed, yes, Barba is returning. And if you watch the promo, it's going to be Barba versus Carisi. It's going to get real steamy. I am going to challenge everyone to write down any lines that are clear flirting between Barba and Carisi.
That's your homework, folks. You better come prepared next episode.
Yeah.
Stream.
Ingrid in the chat asks, who will be the next showrunner of SVU 24? Really great question. Oh my God. It would be amazing if it was you, because at least you've seen the show. I request.
And I can promise you guys, babes every week. It's like, no.
We don't know who the showrunner is. It hasn't been announced yet, or at least it wasn't announced before we went live. And I think that we run the risk of somebody who has not watched 23 seasons of a show. And I know that that's rough. I know it's a lot to ask, but if you're going to come into this show and you're going to start throwing around like, private life stories, you need to know their private lives.
How long would it take to watch it all?
I mean, a long time. It's
Hold
23.
Let's say it's 23 seasons, 21 episodes, 22 episodes per season?
22 average.
So that's 506 episodes divided by, how do I math? 24, just to see how many days?
Sure.
It would take you, 21 days? If you need to eat, if you need to sleep.
You need 1 month. You need a month to watch the whole thing.
Okay, well, guess what? The writer's room doesn't start until fall. New showrunner, you got plenty of time. Plenty of time. Buy the box sets, all on Hulu if you don't want to do that. I recommend the box sets. I like having a digital or a tangible copy, but come on. 1 month. That's all we ask.
I just ask, if you're going to show run this show, that you at least know their stories and know what stories have already been done. Don't give me another priest covering for a priest because he confessed.
Give me another Send in the Clowns.
Yes.
I'll take another one of those. I feel like I'm ordering. I will take.
I'll take a Babes with a side of Send in the Clowns.
Send in the Clowns with maybe hot dogs for dessert.
I love it. So for those who don't know, we are available to listen on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere else that you can find podcasts. And on iTunes, you can rate and review us. So please do so if you have not yet. You can give us 5 stars if you like us, 4 stars if you don't like us. I don't know what's going on with iTunes, but stars 1 through 3 are still broken. So 4 stars if you don't like us, and then leave a comment letting us know how we can improve so that we can improve. I can't promise we'll do what you ask, but
we can promise to read and consider it.
We promise to read it and even read it on the air. So go and rate and review us on iTunes. We also have our weekly poll. Taylor, tell us about the polls.
So last week we asked everyone, we said, who is your favorite mom from the squad? Because it was Mother's Day. In last place is Serena Benson with a whopping 3.4%. Bummer.
Wow.
In third place, now this is disrespectful, Beth Ann Rollins with 6.9%. An upset to me personally. In second place, Serafina Carisi made the most of her short time on the show, 27.6%. Overwhelming majority voted for Bernadette Stabler. Honestly true. She's a great character, 62.1% of the vote. This week, Yael will like this poll because she's been talking about it, yapping about it all episode. What's her favorite priest episode? One of them is indeed Silence. It's season 3, episode 23. It's pretty much the same plot as this one. We also have Unholiest Alliance. That's season 17, episode 18. Yael, do you remember?
Yes.
That one? Cool.
Yeah, so that one is part of a 2-part storyline, and it's based on it's ripped from the headlines about the church that was trafficking women and the nuns who tried to help them. And so the storyline ends up being about like Tucker's cousin, who is a priest, and it's about the church covering up trafficking teenage girls and making them drug addicts, and it's fine.
Yep. And then there's this one, which we just talked about. And then there's a category for other, because there's a lot of priests that hop in and out of this show. So if you choose other, you should comment below. I know Yael already has. She said Presumed Guilty, which is season 14, episode 10, and Sin, which is season 8, episode 17. Yeah, if you like those two better, leave a comment.
So Presumed Guilty is the one, it's a Christmas episode, and it's the one where Finn's ex-wife's brother helped a priest who was getting beat up. And it turns out that the priest was getting beat up because the brother of a victim thought that he had abused her. And this is another one where the priests covered for each other because they confessed to each other. And then Sin is the one where the priest thinks that his son murdered some, I think it was a trans prostitute because he was, because he thought his son was gay. And then it turns out that it wasn't. The son then covered for the father, and neither of them did it. And it was somebody else.
Absolutely wild. And we'll tell you guys where to find that in just a couple of minutes.
Yes. Also, if you're new here, we are selling some ridiculous swag. I have yet to add our most recent ideas, but if you want to check out some really great stuff like a Slammin' Pair of Jeans onesie for your offspring, you can find that in a link below. There's also some really beautiful being true to yourself Noah quote stuff, Justice for Snowball, and somebody purchased prescriptions for orgasms with consent stickers, and we have yet to discover who this mystery shopper is.
I honestly, part of me hopes that it's like no one who watches the show and they just saw it and we're like, yeah, I need that.
I hope so too. It would be fucking weird, but I hope so too.
I would respect it so much.
Oh, so much respect. And that's, I think, it for today's show.
What did we learn though?
Oh, you're right. I forgot and I skipped right over it.
I don't have an answer, but I know.
I have an answer.
Okay, good. You go ahead then.
So I learned in the segment we forget every week, I learned that it is legal to tape someone's amends as a confession.
As it should be, in my opinion.
Sure, but the fact that he was like, is that legal? And she was like, yes.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
What did I learned that I should not confess things in a cemetery because who knows who's listening. I also learned that maybe we should catfish the priest.
I'm surprised about the catfishing of the priest, specifically because, so, right, everyone, hopefully you all know that a priest, a doctor, and a lawyer, which sounds like the beginning of a joke, you can confess to them and they can't testify against you in court. That said, if I understand correctly, they have the choice. Legally, they can't be forced to testify, but I think that they can if they want to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we've seen multiple cases where lawyers and doctors have like been kind of forced to do it, and they've chosen to do it. There's like, I have 23 seasons of law experience, and from what I understand, take that with a grain of salt. From what I understand, they can choose to, the same way that spousal privilege can be waived. Like what you tell your spouse can't be forced to testify against you, but your spouse can choose to.
I feel like it's different though. Like I feel like, especially the lawyer one, that feels
so that's the thing, is all three of those professions, you will lose your job.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was like, but I don't think you can work after that, can you?
No. Right. Legally, I think legally you can choose to testify. If you do that as a priest, a lawyer, or a doctor, you will be fired. Yeah. But you can.
There you go. I also thought it was kind of funny that they shouted out other religions when they were talking about how they were in their rooms alone. They're like, yeah, I was in my room alone. I'm not a rabbi or a minister. I was like, whoa. I don't know why I found that so funny, but they like really, I don't know.
Yeah. I liked it. They wanted to remind you
that not everyone has to be celibate. Only the priests. And yet they still don't do that.
My question then is, why doesn't he choose a different denomination?
I feel like it's a bit more complex than that, but yeah, you're right. You got me there.
I don't know. I'm not clergy. Anyway.
That's for damn sure.
All right, before we wrap up, I want to give some shout outs to people who are live in our chat. Holly is here. Holly says, I don't remember Sin at all. Go back and watch it.
2 decades ago, to be fair. So I understand.
What I put the season and episode number. What was it?
It's season 3 something.
Yeah, so it's in season 3. Go enjoy.
Sin is season 8, sorry, right?
Silence is season 3. Yes. Silence
is season 3. What about Sin?
I don't know. It's in the. I posted it in your poll.
I know, and I have to go back so I exited out of that one. Sin is season 8. Yep. Okay. That was not as long ago.
Aaliyah's here. We have I am Kendall TV. I'm guessing on that pronunciation. Bring back Cat. Yeah.
Exactly.
Into the crowd. Aaliyah is here. Ingrid is here. Daryl was here. Ali is here. Jennifer is here. Zach was here. Oh, I love having so many people. Dimitri made it to the stream today. Welcome. I thank you all so much for joining our chat today. We really love having live conversations, especially people who can call me out on things, people who can correct my facts. It's appreciated. Yeah. Felicia couldn't make it, which is a bummer. I wish she could have been here because when the three of us are here, apparently, we go off the rails.
Last week was quite a show. If you missed it, I would recommend going back and watching it.
Yes. Also, if you missed it last week, I got to talk to you because no one else was available. But I got to talk to Reggie Lee, who played Paul in the episode. So please go and check out that interview. It is available everywhere that this is available. Same place. It is a very special episode. We want to do more special interviews for you guys. So please make sure you check those out so that we can keep doing them. And he said some really interesting things about how they shot the episode. So check that out. But until next time, keep up with Felicia on Instagram at It's Felicia Michelle on Instagram. And Taylor, where are you on the internet? And where can people find the poll?
You can find me and the poll on Twitter at alphabet_, and you can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Perfect. I am Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That is YAELTYGIEL. You can find me on Tuesdays on the Hollywood Critics Association channel for a show called Hollywood Approved. You could also find me on the official Leverage Redemption After Show, a very distinctive podcast on the Electric Now app. And always talking about SVU on my Twitter because that is what I do in my free time, is rewatch this show. I agree. All right. Thank you, everybody who's here live. Thank you, everyone watching us not live. We appreciate you as well. And we'll see you guys next time.